did my undergrad here. Well, not undergrad, I got my Associates of Arts from here, and then I transferred later to SFA to get my BFA, and I am currently getting my master's. This is my first semester in the master's program, and I'm kind of like, I was experimenting through my BFA on what I wanted to paint, because I started out, over at the end over there, I started out with these kind of like fantasy paintings, and I realized I needed to kind of branch off and start getting more serious about my art and go into the world of academia. And so I started researching things, and you can kind of see some of my growth in some of these pieces. They are all from my undergrad except for this piece, but most of them are recent. I was exploring different techniques, and I learned that oils are my favorite way to paint. And whenever I paint with oils, I feel like it gives me more ability to get like this softness that I want in my paintings. And I'm able to kind of go between dark and light and really study color value. And whenever I was working on this piece, I was very inspired by kind of like romanticism that you would find in pre-Raphaelite work, but I'm trying to make it my own. And that's kind of what the show kind of goes towards, is between this light and dark, kind of like life and death, but what's in the middle, and what do we feel before our last breath, or what do we feel before a moment of tragedy or calmness. And so I wanted my paintings to have this very surreal, like peaceful, kind of eternal feeling. And I like painting the female form because I feel like you can just be very graceful with it, and I enjoy it. And I've been researching about a bunch of artists. I like the way that Lucian Freud paints some of his work. I like his different use of color values and textures. If you like look at a book and look at it really close up, you can see the different variations in skin tone. And I also have been studying Rossetti, which was a pre-Raphaelite. Again, goes into that romanticism. And something that inspired my fox painting over there was Gustave Courbet. And I liked his painting. He painted this fox that was strung up in the snow. I think it's called Fox in the Snow. But I was very influenced by that, and I learned over time that it's very important to pick up books and start looking at them to get inspired, because I used to be mainly inspired by TV shows or cartoons or comics, and I love those, but it's also important to research the history of that and dive a little deeper, and you can still get this fantasy effect without going too far into fantasy. And so right now I am working in these larger scale ones so that I can get a little more detail. My smaller scale paintings, I feel like they're not as detailed, but some of them are. I really like this one that I did, my self-portrait, but that was very early in my undergrad, and that was inspired by Ophelia. So I wanted to create a fantasy and make it more realistic looking. And so I just like exploring. Right now I'm still in this exploration phase because it's my first semester in grad school, but I really like exploring different themes of light and dark and what you can do with that. And I like the poetry of being able to explore uncomfortable themes of agony and the beauty in the ugly. So that's basically it.
Let's do the learning gallery, and we had an assignment. Right? We were supposed to really look at the work and have